Punctual. We are live, so it tells me that I'm live, and we are punctual. We are very punctual. 12 o'clock on the dot. Sorry, we're just getting a little bit tongue-tied. Good afternoon, everybody. It's 12, so we're no longer in morning. Thanks to anybody who's coming along to join for my second Facebook Live in Facing Fears. And today, I have my good friend Veronica on. So Veronica and I know each other since we were about 12-ish, and went to school together and got into lots of trouble together, and still, you know, try to do our well, no, actually, we're getting a little bit sensible. We need to start finding some mischief soon. So Veronica is awesome. She has never stopped just going. And you know, one of the things that I suppose I love about the business that you have created is that it didn't actually seem like you were creating a business, but yet you have a business. You've done it so unintentionally, organically, kind of by accident, but yet you have a business. And one of the things that I think is amazing is that you never stopped being true to yourself. You always did what felt right, and if it wasn't right, you just stopped doing it. And I really admire that. So Veronica has this amazing home out in Letterard in Carna in Connemara. She has a fantastic yoga studio. Her front garden is the sea with the 12 pins in the background, and she can go by boat to Roundstone, and it is just, yeah, there you go. That is her front garden. Okay, so just in case people weren't jealous beforehand. And she has this amazing yoga studio. You are the only massage therapist that can get at all my knots, and you also do some amazing energy work. And I know that you didn't get to where you are now easily. You know, you had to overcome an awful lot of fears to get there. So I guess my first question is, what is overcoming fear like for you? What does it look like, or how do your fears show up for you?
Me, and I think, you know, we joke about this when we were younger, but my philosophy always was, you know, it's easier to ask for forgiveness than permission. And I barreled through, and it's when I get to the other side and I have everything all set up and I've done the crazy stuff and built the studio and have, you know, hammocks hanging out of the ceiling, then I just go, probably just do, you know. That's when so a lot of times I've barreled through, and if I think about it too much, I probably would maybe stop. But I just get so excited, and I don't think of any of the practicalities, like nobody might come or you know, you're out in the middle of nowhere. And I remember when I moved home first, and I never thought I'd be living here, let alone with the business. You know, I just assumed that I would have to go work for somebody in Galway, or I mean, I used to drive up to Delphi, and now we're up to slave away in massage in a dungeon. Beautiful up there, you know, it's dark in the dungeon, and so it sort of happened organically. And I guess the only thing that gets in my way, or would get in my way, would be myself, you know, and a bit of imposter syndrome. And I really, sometimes I stand up here and I'm like, how did you, like, I actually do not know how I got here, because I know when I was building the house, I mean, I had €14 on my bank account. And I can show you the bank account statement with €14 on it. And so I don't know. It just, it's bad.
I think you're just a very spontaneous person, and because you're acting with spontaneity, you're not really stopping to think of the consequences, but it's just worked out.
Absolutely. Like, it could have gone terribly wrong, but it's you know, shit happened, God knows. But I just kept, I think, being a bit daft. Being a groomer, I never thought I couldn't, you know.
And Sister Pice told you that being daft would get you nowhere. Little did she know.
I tell you, I'm telling you. And that thing where it tells you that you spelt everything wrong. So, you know, I'm just like, look at It's like, but sometimes I'm typing the word and even like Google spelling doesn't know what it is.
Oh, that happens to me on a regular basis. It's just throwing its hands up in the air going, we got nothing here. We got nothing for you.
Y-S what?
Yeah.
But yeah, so it definitely, I mean, it's been, there's been ups and downs, and as long as you learn along the way. But as I said, I don't even, I often just, stand here and go, this is my, well, half the banks, but this is, this is mine, and it's great, and I love it.
And when you start to have a bit of that imposter syndrome, and when you actually start to think about it and the fears come in, what's coming up for you then? Or where does your head go then?
Well, strangely, with everything that's going on, this is the most that I have ever sort of sat and thought about where I'm going. So this is another huge shift now that's happening, because I've had time to sort of evaluate and so many times, oh my God, and I used to call it being in the box, but it's like being in the, in a jar, and you can't read the label when you're in it. And I think you and I have been, like, I've been in the box or the jar or the mush so many times. And what's funny this time, but I know I'm in it, and I know I got to get out. And it's like, oh God, I have to do so many things, and I have to face so many things that I'm like, but I know that I have to get out of that place. I know when it feels wrong, and intuitively I know when it feels wrong. And sometimes we live with the wrong for a long time. But what's funny about this time around is I didn't know it was wrong, because I was so busy externally looking after everybody else or something. I don't even know. So when this whole pandemic started and everything shut down, this is a strange one, because I thought I was seeing very clearly, and now it's like, whoa. So
and isn't that a bit like, we're so busy, when we're busy, we feel like everything is going well, because in order for things to be going well, we need to be busy. But if our head is so full of the busyness and must do this and I must do that, there's no space for any creative flow to come in at all.
Absolutely. And if it's not, like, if you're not being beat or it's not awful, sometimes you don't see that it's not quite right. So we've, like, I've been in a mobile home with no running water, and I mean, that's shite, and you're in that, you're going, this is awful, and it's clearly not where you want to end up.
And I think that's important that people need to know as well, is that you touched on that you had €14 in your bank account when you started building your house, and I also know that you were living in a mobile home that was practically on the edge of the Atlantic and could have been swept in at any time, and yet that could have been an excuse. That could have been a reason for you to throw your hands up and be a victim, but it didn't. Like, how did you not allow yourself to become a victim? And I guess I think that's a big question for a lot of people. How did you get out of there?
That's not my, you have to love yourself. And I didn't back then. I mean, I was in this mobile home, which was absolutely, you made the best of it, but you'd sit at night and I knew the weather better than I knew anything, because like there's a big storm coming. And if you saw, I mean, I got dropped off. I left my wasn't a perfect house, but my rental house, because I couldn't do both, because I had €14 because I hadn't saved anything. And I had a job, and I remember being dropped off on the windiest, and it wasn't even, it got worse, but it was a windy day, and the guy that had painted the house put all of my shit into a van, and we were driving down to the mobile home, and he said, you need to get, I could come home back here, and you need to go to the doctor, and you need to get a bucket of pills, and you need to take those pills, and you need to go back to the house and not live in that thing. You won't die. I don't know, it was mental. There was no, it was just absolutely, it was rough. There was no water. So you had to fill, like there was a tank next door, so you'd have to fill. And I remember the shower was like 5 drops, and you just kind of stand and hope that something would. So yeah, so laundry was done. I worked up in Clifton one day a week doing massages, and there was a washer and a dryer there, and that's when I did my laundry in between massages. And we used to go.
And I would also like to point out, for those of you that don't know Veronica, she also had a baby at the time.
Yes. So yeah, so she was in the mobile home as well, and it was looking back, it was at the time it was shite as well, and I often, there was so much pressures and so much going on, and you just kept going and going and going, and that's when, I say it was the day that my brain blew up, and I had so much going on, and what was worse is that you can have a lot going on if you're in a good place, but I wasn't asking anybody for help. My mother had just passed away, and I think that sense of security was gone. So the house that you always had was now no longer. So it was like this: I have to build my own. I just need that security. And so no matter what, I was going to have somewhere that was mine. Yeah, but there was so much going on that I wasn't seeing what good people were doing for me. So I was just angry. It was just really.
So out of anger and annoyance, you built a house.
Like that, but it has to come to an end, because I'm not an angry person. I don't do well with anger. I get angry now and I start to get a twitch and a headache. So that doesn't. Stubbornness will push me, but not anger doesn't do me well. Although, my brother would come in and the house was spotless, be like, is it me that made you mad? Because when I do a lot when I'm angry, but I don't like fume. That is not what I like to fume myself. It was I remember one day, and it was literally where I ended up. We were down in the mobile, and I would come in and I would have people that had watched Ciara and family, and I would come in, and instead of seeing how well she was taken care of, I'd look at the dishes in the sink and be like, and I was seeing all the bad stuff in the world, which isn't good.
Yeah.
So my head couldn't handle it, and my body couldn't handle it, and I wasn't listening to anything, and I wasn't looking after myself, and I was just slogging around, and I was getting stuff done, but it wasn't the right way, and it was like, you'd be writing out checks from the mortgage for $5,000, and you'd be looking at 5 cents to buy a loaf of bread, because it was so unbalanced. It was mental, and I was just constantly stressed. And one day, as I said, the day my brain blew up, I ended up one morning, and I came up and I had no sense of depth, or I was trying to grab the kettle, the mug, and it was like, what the heck? It was just, and I was completely disorientated. And I knew my name, but it was just it was just complete. It was like, okay. And I ended up in the emergency room, and when they don't leave you queuing, I went in and I said my symptoms, and the next thing you're in, they're like, you need to come. You're not.
So, and was it that just your brain was just so full of stuff?
Yeah.
You had overloaded it with so much stuff, it just went, no more. We can't take any more. Yeah.
And it felt like that. It felt like my brain. And so you're laying there, and they're saying we have to do an MRI because it could be a tumor. It could be and you're like, you got this. Is this the day that my life changes? And it was the day that my life changes, but not because I had a tumor. But because it was like, okay, let's, and so I always say, like, listen to the whispers. And I mean, my poor body, my head, everything was like, just can't. It gets louder and louder and louder. And then the next thing is like, bam, just listen.
And then I think we've all, I suppose it's symptomatic of so many of us, that, because I've been through that as well, where I just, you try to get your inner intellect and your inner wisdom is doing its absolute utmost to guide you on a path where you are going to be happier and more fulfilled. And you just, there's so much in your head and there's so much going on. And I guess it's that outside in living. And, you know, a lot of the coaching that I do is trying to help people connect more on the inside and not looking on the outside, because our experience comes from 100% of our thinking and 0% of our circumstances. And you can still manage to do all of the things and build a house and do all that. But if your thinking isn't in the right place, then you're going to end up in A&E needing an MRI.
Absolutely, absolutely. And once I came, you know, and it was like that moment where you're waiting for the results and you're like, you know, I swear.
Never do it again.
Never, yeah. Never.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you how you use that phrase, Veronica, when you woke up in the morning after a particularly hairy night. I swear I'll never do it again.
Ever. Promise. So, then once you kind of see the forest for the trees and you calm down, and it wasn't long after that, because I softened and I wasn't accepting help. I was just sort of, you know, and so once you
allow.
Yes. And it wasn't like, I think it was a couple of months later, and a neighbor of mine, beautiful people, he landed in and he said, and it was snowing and it was horrible, and my pipes, all the pipes, and I was in a good place here, and I was just like, I remember Kira was in a bucket and I was giving her a bath with the hot water, and then it was like, when I turned on the tap, there was water, because we got water at that stage. So all of the snow and the freezing and everything, the water had come back. So it was rejoice until I heard the and all of the waters underneath the mobile home had burst. Yeah. So I remember a woman that I worked with, and she called me up, and I was like, I just don't know what to do. And she said, I was just talking to her, and I was like, oh my God. And I was trying to turn off water and stop the place from flooding. And her husband lands at the door and there's a knock, and he's like, Mary sent me, and I'm not going back without you, because I value my life. And she put me in her apartment beside the house, and she fed me every day. Every day I came home, there was a big dinner, and I mean, it was so lovely, and it was that minding and loveliness of just a neighbor down the road that just saw that, you know, I was in trouble. And I stayed there for about 4 months in the heat and water and showers and food, and it was like, oh my God, my life is great again. And it helped me to, you know, to come down here, and I would build and yeah, then it was built, because I mean, if this house was built in the place that I was in there, it'd be a really angry house. Walls and, you know.
Yeah, that's not bad juju. Yeah.
So, and that was like, you know, the just letting people, showing your vulnerability, because up until then I was like, I'm fine, you know, fine.
I mean, what does it mean to you to show vulnerability?
It's very hard for me to show vulnerability, very, very hard. So I don't know there is still a bit of a, I'm fine. So that is something that I've had to work on, and asking for help. I'm getting much better at, but I'm still not, I never automatically do it. It'll be I'm sorry not to bother you kind of thing, and I'll think about it. So, but I'm definitely getting better, to the point where, you know, but if there's something to be done, and if you're around, like, you know, I'll have everybody with a hammer and a nail. You know, there's neighbors of mine that say, don't stand around Veronica's house with your hands in your pocket. But that kind of stuff, I sort of don't mind, just sort of digging ditches and stuff. I don't know, it's because
because there's no emotional attachment to that. It's a physical job.
Yeah.
You go in and you get it done. But saying to somebody, I need help with something that could possibly show a weakness in me, is so much harder.
Absolutely. And we're all, you know, and there's a sort of a pride of having done it kind of all by yourself. but the older I get, the less I sort of need that to be, that I need to hold on to that anymore. It was almost like I lose my shield and my my purple cross if I ask for help. So it's kind of we're evolving.
There's a little bit of that I discovered about myself recently, that I had a bit of the martyr mentality going on, and I really didn't recognize it. But I think that comes into it a little bit, that we make martyrs out of ourselves, and I can do it myself. I remember Amelia when she was a baby, a little fat toddler going around, and she always used to, I do it myself. I do. And I feel that has been a part of me as well, is that I had made myself into a martyr. And because I kept running into so many obstacles. It was like the universe was like, okay, fair, you're a martyr. Here's more shit for you to deal with, and here's more crap for you to deal with. And it wasn't until I realized that, and with the help of a very kind neighbor who, was like, you need to start asking for help, and you need to realize that people are here. And but it's not easy. Like, it really isn't an easy thing to do.
No. And I work on it, but it's not, if I can do it sort of myself, a lot of times I'll be doing but I definitely am getting better, because I just, I used to be very proud of, and we were brought up with, if you see somebody picking up 2 planks, pick up 4, and so it's instilled not to be, to be hard working and to be sloggers, and and so, but now I kind of pick up the phone. I don't want to pick that up.
Around, who else can pick that up for me?
Exactly. And I'm down here in the middle of nowhere anyway, and I'm like, there's no audience anyway, so what's the point?
Yeah. And you know what? It's such self-judgment. That's all it is, because nobody else is looking, nobody else cares, everybody else is too busy up in their own heads, ready with their own busyness, that nobody is pointing fingers and saying, oh, look at Veronica down there, and she had to ask somebody for help. They're not.
No, they don't give it. No, absolutely. And people are usually delighted.
They are, yes.
To me, come on, we're going to build a barn today. And I'd be like, why, let's go. And, and I have so I don't know why, and I love helping, so I don't know why I have such a problem with asking for it. It's just, I don't know. But I'm definitely getting a lot better. A lot.
Yeah.
So,
and I think for especially anybody who's in business and anybody who wants to grow and expand in that, there are things that we are good at, and there are things that we are not so good at. And the quicker you can admit to that and say, okay, I need somebody who's going to help me with this because I can't do it, the easier you make your life. And I know I've spent so many hours sitting in front of computers trying to figure out, the most frustrating thing. And look, that was all part of the learning curve too. And it's nice to have that experience, but there does come a time where you have to say, I actually just want to focus on doing the things that I really like and that I'm having fun doing, and that other stuff is not fun, so I give it to somebody else to do.
Exactly, yeah. And that's but I have no problem sort of, and that's the thing, is asking sort of for favors. Like, I've signed up with a course now to how to make my business, how to do an online course
program to help you, to help you grow your business.
So because I'm no good, I can't, I have all these ideas going around in my head and I can't put them down on paper, because you should know what I do in America. Why don't you know? So that I find is easy to, because you there's an exchange of money.
Yes.
It's the asking for favors for just out of kindness. And I mean, I am shown kindness all the time, and it's beautiful. But there's that little bit of, it's hard to accept the kindness, but definitely getting. But yeah, I mean, when there's an exchange, then it's easier to accept. Well, yeah, because you're
Yeah.
so yeah. Oh, I pay people.
So tell me now, what do you think coming up? Can you see? So I ask, what is your platform 9 3/4, which is the wall that Harry Potter has to run through to get to the magic. So what do you think right now is going to be your next platform 9 3/4 that you need to run through?
And this will probably be the hardest one that I, and I've dug through it. Like it's just this is, but this is the part where this next and
Come on, spit it out, spit it out.
It's so like I'm slowly because I have time now, and this is going to be this. I don't know that it'll ever be it, but this is going to be the truest, because mostly I'm running through it and just kind of going, and it's exciting and everything. But this is where I have to shed a lot of this. I have to put down the weapons. The weapons have to go down, and I like that shield, and a little bit of it,
a little bit the sword as well, yeah.
That can kind of come out as well. So, but mostly the shield, and it's sort of the. It's a bit of the who do you think you are, and there's a bit of the woo-woo that has come along the way, and I'm turning into the person that I used to thought was a nut job, So that's not easy, because I remember laughing at the likes of me going. So it's really, and I'm really like
karma, Veronica. Karma is a bitch.
completely, yeah, absolutely. So I'm slowly taking off, but it's beautiful, because I feel like now it's more of a dance, and it's like when I get to a place, it's like, okay, you know what? Let me take a breather. Let me take a bath. I have time for that. Let me take a swim. And it's just, this time has been such a gift to me, because I'm doing the dance and I'm not pushing, and I haven't ran through it the whole lot done going, I think this was good. I think this is a good idea. Yeah, no, this is good. Yeah, no, this is, yeah, no, I like this. That's when I make the sort of decisions, is when you're, but so I don't know exactly how this is going to look on the other side of the wall. But I won't be barreling, the shoulder won't be barreling through it. I'm just that wall is going to open up.
So you're kind of just in a more of an allowing state. You're letting whatever is coming flow through you and see what manifests in the physical world. I think that's just beautiful.
Yeah, it is, and it's gonna, like as I said, it's just gonna open, and it's not gonna be it's not gonna be a bolster and hammering down the wall. It's just going to, and it's leaving behind also, and that's, I think, the key here is I'm finding out what I don't want to do. I don't know exactly what I want to do, because I think it will keep evolving anyway. So I don't think I can say I'm going to do this, this, and this, because I think once I go in there, and I'm always doing that, it's like, and I can do this now, and I can do, this online stuff is mind-boggling, because what would stop me before would be, you have to get somebody to mind the kids, and you have to be gone for 4 days, and you have to get a bus, or you have to drive, and you have to find where it is, and now it's like, I can do that.
And I don't even need to take off my pajama bottoms.
I mean, absolutely. And the kids are happy out, and you're just kind of like push pause when they want a bowl of cornflakes. Be right back. It's brilliant. And I think it's just opened for me the whole online world, which has opened up a whole realm of what I can do, or the people that I can reach. Because up until now, I was a recluse in a very, a very isolated, not isolated, but it's not, I'm not 5 minutes from Galway or the nearest, hall that I can do things in. So it's just, it's just kind of mind-boggling at the moment. So I'm just sort of, shedding off what I do.
And I guess on that, how you can help people, you know, because there's obviously a few people who are watching and more will, they don't know you. So can you give a little bit of insight into what it is that you do and how you help people?
Well, I thought my whole being was massage therapy, and I've been doing that for 17 years. But that's taking on a whole new dynamic, I suppose, because we're all energy, and you know this is where people start kind of backing out the door.
Yeah.
Backing out the door and go, "Will you just, you know, and get it out?" So now I'm just it's and for a while, and I've been fighting it. Is that you know, energy, like a person comes and I remember there was this woman again years ago who used to talk to me, and she was 20 years in, a massage therapist, and she'd be talking about the muscle like they had like a personality. And I go, right. But we hold memories, we hold, and so if you can block everything out, you can actually feel the anger, the sadness, and when you release that, either by energy or by trigger points, the person feels that emotion. So I have people on my massage table that would just start bawling crying, or that would like be just so much happier. You know, I had one woman, and this was years ago, and she had so many ex-boyfriends, they all had a knot. You know, it's like, that's George. So, but so there's so much more to it, and that's the thing. And it's and now I'm doing, because obviously I can't massage anymore, so I've been doing some online energy work, and that's been amazing. And I'm also doing online yoga, and because we're doing it more often now, we're doing it 3 days a week. I have people that have had bad backs for years, or you know, and pains are starting to just fall off. Now, also they're not, I think, stressed, but it's the fact that we're doing it more often, and in the comfort, you know, that we're and they're typing in the morning, and it's like my neck hurts and this hurts. So we do yoga for them, and it's not just, you know, a whole bunch. It's like, okay, such and such is a bad back, and we're going to fix that today. So yeah, so it's evolving, and it's
You're open to seeing what's coming, because I have no doubt that you are going to uncover new talents and new skills and new ways that you can help people, because I think you are just you're a channel for so much of this stuff. It's your gift back to people.
absolutely, and I don't think that I'm in any way, shape, or form in charge of what's going to happen next. You know, I just, if I can get out of my own way and stop getting in my way, and I've been doing that, and that's what I need to let go of, is who do I think I am, or who do I think that you think I am, or who do I think?
Yeah,
I just have to get out, because for a long time I know that I'm sort of a, you know, some kind of a yeah, kind of a vessel, or something is you know, is moving the puppet, and I just have to get out of my own way and let that happen. So for me to say this is what it's going to be, I have no idea what it's going to look like.
Well, to be fair, like Veronica, people have been saying for a long time that Veronica one is cracked. And you know what? You might as well just feed into it and just roll with it and embrace it.
Absolutely, yeah. Might as well, you know.
Yeah. So for anybody out there, you know, who is holding themselves back because of their fear of the, you know, the judgment of others, or that things won't work out, what advice would you give somebody who is stuck? They're just stuck in some place that they don't want to be, because to get to the next place, it means they have to break through their platform 9 3/4, or they have to get through that invisible bubble, because it is invisible, you know, our fears. What advice would you give them?
I think you have to let go of so many things, because so many things stop us. And it's what other people think, or what if I, you know, and it is that until you love yourself, until you really, 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 or at least like yourself a lot, and as Irish with the pits, because if we, you know, there is that sort of, who do you think about? I tell you the story when I came up for America, and I had this woman, God love her, that spent about 5 years telling me how fantastic I was until I finally believed it. And I came home, and I remember walking into the hotel. I was probably about 22, 23. And I was wearing this dress, and somebody said, "Oh God, I love your dress," and I should have said pennies, but I said, "Wait for it." And the place was crowded, and I said, "Oh, it's gorgeous. I got it, beautiful. It was a little bit expensive, but it just hugs in all the right places." They were my words, and you could. Just like, and everybody was like, "Did you hear about that? Who does she think she is with her? I don't. I look great."
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, we say pennies, and that whole thing, and Asher, and fuck it, we're brilliant. We're absolutely brilliant, and stand up and just know that you're brilliant. And if they don't like you, so they're not your people.
Yeah.
They're not who, I have friends that it doesn't matter what kind of shite I come out with, they might think God, but they still love you for you. And it's your soul and your insight and what's going on in there that really is what counts. And we've got one goal. We've got one goal at this sort of merry-go-round, and we might as well, be happy. My biggest fear now is Jesus Christ, I'm running out of time.
I know. How do you you're one day swinging out of a car that's barreling down the road at 50 miles an hour to Jesus, nearly hitting menopause. How did that happen?
I have absolutely no idea, and that quick it can happen. So, and it's like, look back, and but I think everything has sort of brought me to this point. And if I might not be able to tell you what to do, but by Jesus, I can tell you what not to do.
Yeah.
The stupid things that could have been done, I could write a book on those. So, but it's like, just, you gotta be happy. You just have to, and you have to follow that intuition. We've switched that up. We have just closed that. It's like, don't listen to that. And if your gut, it's that whisper, it's that, if that doesn't feel right, and we've all been there. We've all been in relationships or all things that if we had just listened back here, and
I think that's where a lot of the fear comes in too, is that often the whisper is contradicting what might seem like the right thing to do in the outside world. And we're allowing things on the outside world to dictate what we should be doing. So I'm in a relationship, but the little whisper is saying to you, get out. This is not a good relationship to be in. But on an external level, I want people to see that I'm in a relationship and there must be something wrong with me if I'm single. So therefore I will stay with this person even though I'm unhappy. Or I'm in a job that I don't like, but it pays me lots of money. And even though I'd like to go off and do something else, and the little whisper is saying, go, go. But the fear of the unknown and the uncertainty keeps us stuck. So I love
it's hard to go from, like, I remember getting a job at the US Department of Agriculture. Like, the phone would, when they had the little where they call caller IDs. Jesus, we're showing our age. And the caller ID would come up, and I remember.
I can't say you are, because there's only a couple of months between us, so it's like, no, you're old.
I don't feel old, but I know what one of those cassette is. So anyway, but the caller, I remember getting this job at the US Department of Agriculture, and I was an auditor, like in this stuffy office, but it was like a government job in America. And I remember the phone ringing, and it said US government, and I'm thinking, it's like,
yeah, no, because you were trying to think of what did I do?
Hi, this is Mary from the office, and I'm going, oh my God, did you? It's like, what the hell, you're working for the US government, and it was just insane. And it was like, everybody was kind of like, how did you get that? I don't know how I got that job, but anyway. It wasn't for me, but it was money. It was a stability. It was like a pension, everything. And I used to die. My soul used to be die. Go in, and I'd be like, oh my God. And I think I stuck that out, I'd say probably for a year. And then I was driving one day and I saw that the college was starting a massage therapy course. And
Linda asked, how do you work on tapping into your intuition more?
For meditation is really good, and just being still. And I find that if I open the gates at all, it's almost like, my problem is that I have to sort of close it off a little bit. It's like, geez, it's too much. It's kind of, I have no problem sort of, and the chakras, I don't know if, I just think that they are so important. If your chakras are in line, then everything else in business. There's a lot of meditations, and there's this crazy dance on YouTube where you literally just dance the colors out. And it's really powerful.
And I think, with your intuition, what you find is that when you do something that feels like a sort of a gut response and it works out okay, you have to learn to trust that sometimes you don't know what the outcome is going to be, but you just take the chance and do it anyway. And
sometimes the worst things that happen to you are the best things that happen to you. So it's like, well, geez, I'm not listening to that again. Look what happened. But it's often you have to, like, it's not going to, you're not going to come out singing the Sound of Music and going up, it's not all, but if you feel right, if you've done it if you lead from the heart, and that's what I just sort of say to everybody, look, if you screw it up and it doesn't work out, you have come from here, you come from your heart. And I think if you don't know what intuition is, follow your heart, and it's the same thing.
Love that.
But if you follow your heart, then even if you trip and you fall and you get bruised and you get cut, and you just sort of wipe it off, and you go back and you've learned, and take the learning from it, and that's where the magic starts.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. Yeah,
and it is, and armor up again. and it'll get easier, and you'll need less armor, and you'll care less. The cuts won't hurt as bad.
Yeah.
Go, because you'll know how to fix them, and you'll know how to nurture them. And I think we just need to take time, and everything is a quick fix now. And I was watching on one of my many courses that I was watching, where they do ointments, and she was doing daisies. And I just want to go out and pick daisies, and make like an ointment that you would have to rub on you or leave on you. You'd have to put that. And the healing was in the resting, because you couldn't move, because if you move, they all fell out. So we're always moving, and it's like, give me the coffee on the go, and give me 2 aspirin, because I don't have time to, work out.
Just give me 2 aspirin just in case I get a headache.
Yeah, well, yes, and it's just sort of we kind of need to feel the hurt a little bit, and instead of just bandaging upon bandage.
And I do think that's where our strength and real courage comes from, in knowing that I felt the feels. They weren't nice, but I've also learned that they're not really who I am, and that I can let go of them at any time. And then it gives you the courage to sort of step up and say, yeah, this is scary, and it mightn't turn out the way that I wanted to, but it's okay, because I've dealt with worse. I look at what's going on now, and I'm just like, this is a walk in the park for me, because I've dealt with so much worse.
Yeah.
And everything worked out okay for me. And that's what keeps me, like, everything is always working out for my highest intention, as long as I let it.
Absolutely. Can you imagine being stuck in this with the demons we had 10 years ago?
Oh, good God. Oh, no.
Like being with bad roommates. Right? It's if you're good, we could say, oh, if I was in Hawaii, we're always, if I was in Hawaii now, it would be great. Or if I was like, if you're not happy in yourself, you could be in Buckingham Palace. Not that I'd ever want to be there, but and be unhappy. Or you could be in a tin can, in a tiny, like it's in here. You have to be happy in here.
Yes, always in here, and you bring it with you wherever you go. Yeah.
And I think then another thing that is that you have to forgive. Because if you take that's a hard thing. Forgive people that hurt you, and you have to forgive yourself. And there's nothing will open. The heart won't flow if you have that. Except for that fucker out down the road if he didn't, and things that parked in my parking,
Oh, I know, yeah. That holding on to stuff is, I use the analogy, it's like when we hold on to old pains and old hurts and things that people have done to us, it's like effectively you get a ball and chain, you put it around your own ankle voluntarily, and then you drag it around everywhere you go, and then every so often you stop and you go down and you rub your ankle and you go, that's really hurting and it's chafing me and I don't like it, and then you go on another bit, but all along you have the key in your hand, and you have the ability to take that ball and chain off and walk freely and with so much lighter. But we don't. We don't,
and we're conditioned. And there's a little bit too of the, and I don't think it's as much so, but I remember when we were young, I was like, what do you want to say to them? Don't let them walk all over.
Don't let them get away with it now. Yeah.
Oh, did you say that to him? Oh, Jesus Christ, that was a good comeback. This is what you were patted on the back for, because you just took somebody and fucking swiped out from under them and made them feel like shit. And everybody be like, hurrah, good for you, you told him. And we have to let go of that too. And it's just sort of like, it's okay. You hurt me. Yeah. It hurt and you're mean, but it's okay because,
I do some, and you know what? Sometimes it's easier than others to do that. I often do a visualization of me holding a balloon. It's usually a red balloon for whatever reason, and I just imagine myself just letting it go. But sometimes those little bastards, they hang there in the air, and you're like, but go, and it won't go away. But I just keep.
And when it's when somebody really hurts you, it's not. You're not just going to say, okay, let go. Yeah. Because you can't, because it's hurtful, and you have to, and it's when it festers, that's the problem. When it's in there, and people that 10 years ago, you're mad.
Yeah, and it all comes back to our thinking, getting stuck in our thoughts and letting them ruminating on them. Whereas I have found now, actually, a lot of the time my head is empty. There are some who might have said my head was always empty, but
it's the most noise.
But no, it's not. Thoughts come in, and I just go, there's a thought. But if it's not a nice one, I just kind of go, I'm just going to keep letting them move along. There'll be another thought in a few minutes. And I've just found there's just a flow and nothing's sticking in there, and I'm not twirling around and getting caught down the rabbit hole of thought. So.
And eventually that becomes natural. So you're not thinking that's a thought or anything.
It's not. Exactly.
It's on before it's even had time to sort of plant a seed. It's just kind of like, no, it doesn't. And you're doing it without even thinking about doing it. Because it's like you see somebody coming towards you that is just going to fill you with negativity. Like, leg it, get out of there. That's it. Because it's not going to be good.
No, I know. Yeah. Mind yourself. Oh, well, look at this. I love this, and I love you, and I know we could sit here talking for hours and hours and hours. So. Everybody's like, okay, you're done now. Can you shut up the pair of you? I need to go to the toilet. This was great fun, and thank you everybody for listening in, and thank you, Veronica, so much for being my guest today on Facing Fears. It was a blast, and watch out for guests that I'm going to have coming up down the line. And if you would like to come on and talk to me about facing your fears, then please reach out, because I'm loving this. We're going to roll with this for a while. It's fun. It's great fun. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a lovely weekend.
Bye.